How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the NCPL Grand Finals between University of Washington and Buffalo, New York. We still have, OU teams going on. I'm not sure if you guys have all been tuning in up until this point. If you have, thank you so much for watching this series. I don't play OU too much, but when I do, and I actually upload it to the channel, it's because I actually had, this is weird to say, but I think I had fun playing OU. It's kind of weird. I've learned a decent amount of things about his team at this point. The only thing I still don't really know is what item the Rotom Wash is. It's something that we can deal with as soon as we get to it. Either way, I'm just going to go on the assumption that it happens to be choiced. It's been a pretty safe play that we can usually, rely on. So other than that, Kabutops is a star of the show. He can actually get a lot done versus Talonflame, versus Tyranitar, versus Landorus, potentially versus Gardevoir if the rain is up. The only things I really have to worry about with Kabutops are Conkeldurr and Rotom Wash. Tornadus I do have to keep around for Gardevoir. Keldeo is probably going to be my wiggle room in order to sacrifice something, and if I need to get damage off, I can do it. Politoed's a star player, and that I need the weather up, and most importantly, Fuba is going to need to be around to get the rocks up as soon as I can, just because that is what needs to happen. That is 100% a thing that has to happen. I have to get Chip on everything as soon as I can, because he has no spinner, meaning Talonflame is only going to come in when it needs to get something done. Gardevoir is going to get valuable damage on it that'll bring it closer to those U-turn KOs that I desire outside of the rain. Lander's going to get punished a little bit. T-Tar takes neutral from it. Everything takes neutral or super effective except for Conkeldurr. So that 12% is going to come into play a lot, especially from shuffling him around just in order to get the weather off the field or to coax Politoed out. So this is actually going to play itself the way it played out in Game 2. And my reason for this is because, like I said, I do want to get my rocks up as soon as possible. He does too. Now, knowing that I do not have Rapid Spin on my Kabutops, that's the only thing that could potentially get the hazards off the field. I decided my team doesn't really care about it too much outside of Tornadus. I've got 2 resist to it. Everything else is neutral, so he's kind of in the same boat. And I do have some things. I think I have Tornadus that happens to be immune to spikes, so it'll just, be that much more important if he did happen to have that kind of thing going on. But we both only have Stealth Rocks, so it's just Chip versus Chip. We got him up pretty early. I'm in a slightly better foot now that I know that he does not have Fire Blast or Flamethrower. But, yeah, Fuba's in here. Fuba's going to do what he does best, and that is basically stay in here and piss everything off with chip damage as long as possible. So, I paralyzed the Tyranitar. Not too bad. If the T-Tar ended up being faster than my Politoed, which is definitely a possibility. I didn't look it up between the last game and this one, but if, Tyranitar's base speed happens to be higher than Politoed and it's running, no speed, then yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the case in Gen 5 when it came down to Weather Wars and stuff. T-Tar ended up being faster than Politoed. Or maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know. But he's slower now, which means I can get Scalds off. It does mean, however, that if we both switch in on a double at the same time, Politoed and T-Tar, then he will get the weather up now. Ultimately, but honestly, I don't really care. I don't see a situation where that happens as often as it did last generation. So, right there, he knockoffs. I get some Leech Seed off. Honestly, not too worried about it. I got some nice chip on Landorus, which is not too bad. I go for double Leech Seed because the Landorus has no more business staying in here going for another knockoff. And we're just going to get some damage off on Rotom because why the hell not? Seems like a good idea to me. On top of that, this thing Volt Switches and pivots a lot, so the quicker we can get it, the better. And he reveals Will-O-Wisp, which is interesting. Like I said, if he was a choice set, like I went the entire game thinking he was, then that's kind of an interesting thing to have on there. If he was choice and his last move happened to be, Trick, then he would end up with somebody's leftovers or something like that, and then he would have Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, and Will-O-Wisp. Interesting, no recovery. He could still also be Resto Chesso and just, didn't get the opportunity to reveal it. That's fine, I will never know what that Rotom is, unless I go back in the versus recorder and figure it out. I just didn't for this game because I got so hyped immediately after. So, right there, I know after he burns me, if he is choiced, he has no more business in there whatsoever. And I figure he probably will not bring in Landorus again unless it wants to get Leech Seeded. So I'm actually going to go ahead and T-Wave. And I get the Conkeldurr, which is pretty cool. Get a Leech Seed off on it, thinking that it's going to help the next poke that switches in. And I get a turn of relief when I see him go for the Thunder Punch again, thinking that my Tornadus is going to come in. To be honest, now that Fuba's done this much, I honestly don't want to put my Tornadus in danger. I don't want to put my Keldeo in danger either. I would much rather bring in one of those two safely. So getting Leech Seed off on this thing is probably going to be what's most important to me. And, you know, getting the paralysis on it is nice too. Just because, you know, the speed is not what matters to me on the Conkeldurr. It's the chance that it might get paralyzed that is ultimately going to be the most important to me. And I have that on two Pokemon now, which are Tyranitar and Conkeldurr. Both of them having the speed cuts means that they are now 100% for a fact slower than Politoed. I'm pretty sure that wasn't really an argument with Conkeldurr, but it is with Tyranitar. So right here, I see a good opportunity to come in, Mega, get the Intimidate off, and Volt Switch out into my Politoed in order to get the weather up again, just to keep the ball rolling, because we're kind of at a neutral stalemate where nothing's really happening. He did get a little bit of offensive momentum going on with Conkeldurr, but honestly, I've got Leech Seed up. I'm going out into a physically defensive Politoed. This is going to be a turn where he's going to want to pivot out and make some progress. So come back in with this thing. The only reason I decided to make this play is because he is -1. I need my weather up, and I'm at full HP, and I also have Leech Seed up. If one of those factors was not flying around, pun kind of intended for what my next switch probably would have been, I would have gone into Tornadus, because I don't think he would have been the type to go for another Thunder Punch on a Manectric, you know, potentially risking the fact that I would have thought that he would have wanted to get rid of my Tornadus again and go out into it. So he decides to go for a safe Drain Punch on that one, and that wasn't a terrible switch for Politoed. Not something I'm going to want to do often, but for the time being, this early in the game, I'll take it. It's an acceptable compromise. So it coaxes in Tyranitar again, which means I can get a free Scald on anything I wanted, or I guess I protected, seeing what he wanted to do. So that was kind of a null turn. I was a little bit disappointed in myself for going for that. I'm not sure why I did that. I got to the point where I started getting really nervous. Or that could have been for Leech Seed, honestly. I don't see why I wouldn't have done that, but he's very, very eager to get my weather off the field as soon as he can. So gonna go to Keldeo, get that nice Justified boost with the Crunch, and you know me, I'm gonna have the Justified boost, and I'm just gonna start firing off, you know, Swords Dance Aqua Jets, because that's what this thing does. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Don't try that. It's not a good idea. But Keldeo has been in against Tyranitar a couple of times in this series before, so I'm wondering what he wants to do now. If he wants to go into Gardevoir predicting the Seeker Sword, or if he wants to go into Rotom predicting the Scald. He's got some good 50-50s here for what he wants to do, and I think his Rotom is at a low enough health where I can just go for either or with little to no consequence. I think, personally, he should have gone into Gardevoir to keep Rotom alive a little bit longer, especially if he was Resto Chested. He would have had a good opportunity against Kabutops outside of the rain. That would have scared me off nicely. Or Politoed in general, because Politoed can't do too much to it. So maybe he didn't have recovery, is the mindset I have there. But Talonflame's going to come in, take, you know, half of its HP on the switch, go for Brave Bird, bump it back under half. I decide, you know what, screw it, Keldeo's a liability at this point. It's not going to outpace Landorus. It's not going to be able to do too much to Gardevoir, but the more important thing is I don't have a Talonflame switch right now. I do have Kabutops technically, but I still want this thing to be at a good amount of HP. I'd much rather sacrifice Keldeo and then, you know, provide that offensive pressure that Kabutops provided in Game 2 and bring some of that into Game 3, because that was a really welcome sight. So I've got a good amount of Life Orb recoil going on here, and I think I just went for a Waterfall here. I'm not 100% whether or not I should have done that, but I don't think it was to any major consequence because it was in the last game. I hadn't revealed that I had Waterfall instead of Rapid Spin up until this point in the game. Aqua Jet would have killed him out regardless, so, I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. But he brings in Landorus right here, thinking the Intimidate is actually going to help him out. You know, it was a good thought process for sure, but losing your Scarfer to this chance is, ooh, that's some shaky territory for me. And I knew it was Stab. I'm adamant with Life Orb. -1 is not going to stop a super effective hit on an offensive Landorus from taking it out from less than half HP. It's going to get the job done, which is great. So, Mega Gardevoir is in here. This is something I was scared about here. If he kept Swift Swim, that meant I would not be able to bring in Politoed whatsoever unless I wanted to get 100% swept and get my shit pushed in. So, kind of scary, but thankfully he does Mega here. it means that he loses the Swift Swim, so I don't have to worry about that, and he's just going to go ahead and go for a Hyper Voice. But it's at this point in the game where I'm also realizing that this thing's going to be a really stubborn son of a bitch to take out from this range. I'm going to have to U-turn, get some other shit involved, but I figure it's going to be Politoed and Tornadus up against the rest of the world. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to sack Mega Manectric. It doesn't look like it's going to be too useful against Tyranitar. Intimidates are going to be valuable against Conkeldurr. But he's got T-Tar, Conkeldurr, and this thing left, and I think Tornadus has a good matchup. So, au revoir to our friend Mega Manectric, who will be dying to a Hyper Voice. Or, at least that's what I thought. Things get easy. Things get really easy from this point on, because he actually reveals right now that he had a Thunderbolt. And this is really important, because, number one, Manectric is alive. Number two, the rain is up. Number three, I have this perfect Venn diagram of cluster fuckery where I'm actually able to go for the Thunder in the rain, no consequences whatsoever, and get rid of the Mega Gardevoir. I think he was chancing on Natural Bulk to be able to live that and knock this thing out. I had a feeling, you know, don't underestimate Mega Manectric. It should be able to do the job from there, and I just went for it. I went, you know, I didn't want to calculate. I was like, surprise me, do a thing for the team, and he did one for the team, so that was great. But we got all three of our team players here. We're going to do some very special things in the upcoming turns. First of all, Politoed is actually going to be able to outspeed T-Tar thanks to Natural Bulk and coming in, bringing the weather with it and getting rid of the sand. I'm not going to die at the end of the turn because the sandstorm is not there. And because of my bulk, I actually live on 3 HP. More importantly, I'm going to be able to get a free Scald off on something, which is going to be the Conkeldurr. I'm not going to be able to get a burn on it because of Iron Fist or anything like that. Well, I wanted to get a burn because of Iron Fist, but I actually got a paralysis from Football from earlier. So, I'm not sure how valuable that would have been, but if he went for a Mach Punch or a Drain Punch right there, he wouldn't have gotten much HP off of it. But the more important thing is, he stays paralyzed. He gets fully paralyzed off of the Thunder Wave. That was big. That was also very big. I was not expecting that, and that was a very, very, very welcome sigh of relief there. So, fantastic. Couldn't have asked for anything more. T-Tar's going to come back in, bring the weather with it. I decide, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go for a Scald, and then that way it is a Tornadus U-turn game from here. So we'll see what we can do. He's going to go for a Crunch, knock me out, and Politoed actually surviving on 3 HP is, I think, the bridge that I need to cross this game to victory. So, goodbye, buddy. You were amazing this game. I love you, Politoed. Did I mention that? I love every single one of the members on this team, but Politoed is what brings it together. So, Tornadus going to come in and try to go for a couple of U-turns to get my way to victory. So, thankfully, because of the fact that I have Mega Manectric left, if I did not, I would have lost right there, because I would not have had anything to do, and I would have had nothing to pivot out into, and he would have just hit me with a Rock Slide. But Mega Manectric, just because it took out the Mega Gardevoir before it got hit by Hyper Voice, and actually got hit by a Thunderbolt instead, which also kind of plays into the fact, you know, that maybe things look better on paper in a matchup against my team, you know, where a Mega Gardevoir has a Thunderbolt and can take hits. That's fine, but because of going for weakness instead of going for your stab, your reliable stab that has better coverage, that was a play that ultimately ended up costing Buffalo Game 3. On top of that, the paralysis was pretty much the nail in the coffin that was laid out that turn. So it wasn't 100% over until that Mach Punch happened. But Tornadus being able to go for another U-turn thanks to the fact that Mega Manectric was left as a pivot and was able to get off another U-turn means that University of Washington takes home the entire tournament. So thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed everything about this series, from the people that I played to the people that I played with. So huge shout out to all of my teammates that played in it, and, you know, for providing me input and stuff on Skype when I wanted help with my team, you know, versus potential matchups and whatnot. I had a rough draft, and I kept tweaking it as the brackets went on, thanks to their input. So big shout out to you guys. I love every single one of you. All of my opponents were gracious and were awesome dudes to talk to. You guys are awesome at Pokemon. Definitely love to, you know, play against you guys in a future tournament. And that was it. Wow. So if you guys definitely enjoyed that series, make sure to leave a like rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. You guys know how that works. And wow. Whew. What a series. I've actually got another series coming up after this. I just got out of a tournament yesterday, and that was some fun shit. So we're gonna see how that one works out. But for now, I'm done with this one. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. You know how that works. And I can't talk. Sorry. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.